Christine Blasey Ford has accepted the Senate Judiciary Committee's request to testify next week on Ford's allegation that Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her in high school, Ford's attorneys told Senate Republicans on Saturday in an email obtained by Politico. Ford's lawyers indicated they have yet to reach an agreement with the committee on the specifics and asked on Saturday afternoon to continue negotiations about the details of her appearance. Senate Republicans have offered a public or private hearing on Wednesday, while Ford has pushed for Thursday. Dr. Ford accepts the committee's request to provide her first-hand knowledge of Brett Kavanaugh's sexual misconduct next week, wrote Debra Katz and Lisa Banks, Ford's attorneys. We are hopeful that we can reach agreement on details. Ford's legal team also now includes Michael Bromwich, according to a spokeswoman for his firm, the Bromwich Group. He is a former federal prosecutor, inspector general for the Department of Justice, and is also working on the legal team for Andrew McCabe, a former deputy director of the FBI who has feuded with President Donald Trump. Bromwich resigned from his law firm, which is separate from the Bromwich Group, in order to represent Ford in private practice. Ford's agreement to appear before the committee marks the most significant outcome of the high-stakes negotiations between the panel's Republicans and Ford's lawyers. But the two parties are still far apart on what day the hearing will take place as well as other details, and Republicans immediately questioned whether the acceptance from Ford and her attorneys was merely designed to orchestrate further hindrances to Kavanaugh's confirmation. Our view of this latest response from Ford through her attorney is still ambiguous. She says she's willing to testify, but she says she still wants negotiations, a senior White House official said. Until there's actually an agreement, there isn't. It could be another delay tactic. But one undecided Republican whose vote on Kavanaugh will prove pivotal, Senate Judiciary Committee member Jeff Flake of Arizona, welcomed the acceptance from Ford's attorneys as a sign of progress towards her testimony. "This is good," the Arizonan tweeted Saturday. Conservatives on Twitter speculated that Flake would vote present on Kavanaugh's nomination in the Judiciary Committee, which would prevent the nominee from getting a favorable recommendation. While Flake has not made up his mind yet, he said on Saturday night that he will not vote present. "Not gonna happen," he told Politico. Democrats praised Ford's acceptance as a huge step toward telling her story publicly. They decried bullying tactics used by Grassley on Friday, when he said his committee would vote on Monday if it hadn't heard back from Ford's attorneys. Grassley later extended the deadline for Ford's response to Saturday afternoon. Courageously, Dr. Ford will tell her story in the face of an impossible choice and vile bullying by Republican leadership. I will support her steadfast bravery against the arbitrary, unfair, irrational constraints set by Chairman Grassley, said Senator Richard Blumenthal, a member of the Judiciary Committee. I remain deeply disturbed by the conduct of my colleagues over the last week. Kavanaugh is willing to testify any day of the week and is not advocating for certain conditions, a Republican senator said. But Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, Republican Iowa, and Ford's attorneys are still wrangling over critical details, and Grassley's office had yet to comment as of Saturday evening. On Friday, the two parties agreed to limit the number of cameras in the hearing room, ensure Ford and Kavanaugh are not in the same room together, offer Ford breaks in her testimony and security from the U.S. Capitol Police. Ford has faced death threats since coming forward and accusing Kavanaugh publicly of groping and forcing himself on her more than 30 years ago. But they are far apart on a number of critical areas. Republicans want Kavanaugh to testify after Ford. The GOP wants to retain the option of using female lawyers to ask questions and have dismissed Ford's calls to subpoena Mark Judge, who Ford has said was in the room at the time of the alleged assault. Ford's attorneys have asked for Kavanaugh to testify first and do not want Ford to be questioned by anyone other than senators. Kavanaugh currently lacks the 50 votes to be confirmed, with a handful of the Senate's 51 Republicans holding out and no Democratic support. Despite Kavanaugh's confirmation prospects, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, RK, confidently predicted on Friday that Kavanaugh will soon be a Supreme Court justice. But as Ford's potential testimony draws near, her legal team is growing in size and stature. Bromwich began representing her after resigning from Robbins Russell, the law firm where he worked separately from his eponymous firm, which had raised objections to his decision to represent Ford, he said in his departure note. My role will likely require me to appear publicly on Dr. Ford's behalf, and the Senate is being advised of my involvement this afternoon. Because objections have been raised within the partnership to my doing so while employed by the firm, I am resigning from the firm, effective immediately, Bromwich wrote in his departure note from Robbins Russell, a copy of which was obtained by Politico. Republicans defending Kavanaugh have experienced a brutal 48 hours. Prominent conservative legal activist Ed Whelan posted an alternate theory of Ford's account that blew up in his face. The GOP cringed on Friday as Trump attacked Ford's credibility, and on Saturday an aide on the Senate Judiciary Committee resigned over questions of his own conduct in the past.